Now our great speaker, our partner.
In New York and D.C., mayors have said the federal government isn't doing enough to help with migrants who are being sent by bus to their cities. Does the administration have plans to do anything more on this?
So the administration has been in regular touch with Mayor Bowser, clearly the mayor of D.C., and Mayor Adams, mayor of New York City. And as we have done many times in response to Governor Abbott's repeated attempts to create chaos, and really to create chaos and confusion, that's what he's doing at the border and costing his own constituents well over $1 million. So we will work to manage the consequences of this latest political charade that we see from the governor. And we do take this very seriously, and I continue going to work with Mayor Bowser and Mayor Adams.
Would you have done the schools any differently? Because I think that's where a lot of parents are upset about what happened with the schools.
Well,
do you think you could have made any other choice?
Well, I think, just to be clear, over 80% of our students miss less than 10 days of in-class learning. The vast majority of students were in. It depended, again, on population density. Many of these decisions were being made by local folks to be able to do what was necessary to keep them there. I think, again, in hindsight, we're doing it differently now, and since May of 2021, almost every one of our students has been in the entire time and been doing that. So I think with hindsight as 2020, perhaps we could have tailored a little bit closer to that. But the fact of the matter is, making the case that we shouldn't have done anything is simply wrong.
You're not being respectful. Go ahead. To your colleagues, to your own colleagues. As you see, I jump. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Respect your colleagues. Respect your colleagues. Go ahead, Chris.
My question is, will the president reach out to Senator Schumer about scheduling a vote on that marriage bill when the lawmakers return from...
I'm sorry, Chris, you're going to have to start from the beginning because there was some disrespect happening.
This is the legislation for lawmakers upon they left upon Senate recess.
You're being disrespectful. Go ahead.
The marriage bill, will Senator Schumer reach out for
For students who are about to take out new loans, what should the message to them be about whether their loans could be forgiven in the future? And does the White House have an obligation to emphasize that this could very well be a one-time thing so that they're not taking out additional loans?
I would say two things. Number one, this is going to be a one-time thing in terms of the blanket relief. This is an authority that is conditional on an emergency, as I said, and the president believes that this relief is warranted, and this is not the kind of authority that you can use over and over again.
Given that the upwards of $1 trillion that they are estimating, that obviously is a number that's a lot closer to the $1.7 trillion in deficit reduction that you all have been citing. So I'm just curious, was the total cost that this plan would amount to, was that a factor when the president and all of you were deciding what the total amount of forgiveness should be, or was the forgiveness amount, did you get there sort of regardless of the cost and then you sort of figured out what the general cost would be after?
Yeah, I want to make totally clear that we don't think that $1 trillion is anywhere in the ballpark of what this is going to cost. Number two, yes, the president was quite focused on what the at least a good estimate of what the cost of this proposal was going to be. It was a big factor in his decision. He was looking into and thinking about how that would compare versus the deficit reduction that he had been able to secure over the last 2 years, frankly, of his presidency. Remember, in the first year of his presidency, he brought down the deficit by $350 billion. So it was a factor. We provided him with estimates along the lines of what we've provided you, and that did play a role in thinking through how to design the policy.
Was there a percentage that he was determined not to cross?
Not that I recall. Student loan debt also makes it harder for people to buy a home. These actions will mean that more middle-class Americans may be able to finally afford a down payment, buy a home in the years to come, and start building wealth.
Modeling is based off of, you said 75% of people taking advantage of the program. If 25% of people, if 25% of people aren't taking advantage of the program, do you consider that a flaw in the program? Would you consider the program a success of that number? If you can talk us through this.
Sure. So look, we have to make an assumption about how many people take advantage of the program in order to provide this preliminary estimate. The reason that we chose 75% is that it's, broadly speaking, in line with the take-up rate of the most similar education department initiative that we could find. In other words, there was another education department initiative in the past that was supposed to provide targeted debt relief to a set of borrowers who were eligible for it. And roughly 75% of the borrowers in that particular program took advantage of it. Now, We are hoping to get as close to 100% as possible, but we, for the purposes of putting out a preliminary estimate on this, we had to choose a number, and we felt like 75% was the most defensible.